Hello, Tyler Bryden here. I hope everything is going well. I'm dating this. I'm putting this on Friday, September 23rd, 2022. And what I want to talk about today is the first week of the Techstars Toronto Accelerator program. And I do have, I realize I'm jumping into this without maybe answering some of the questions that you might have. What is Techstars? How does Techstars work? How does Techstars make money? I've got a whole list of questions and things that I think are worthwhile to go over in relation to Techstars, but in this video, what I want to talk about explicitly is the first week, the structure of it, my sort of early reflections on it after, coming out of many meetings throughout the week, including our last final wrap-up meeting of the week. And hopefully, whether you are interested in Techstars, whether you're applying, maybe you just started the program and you're in sort of the same cohort kickoff time as me, this is sort of like an insightful perspective on the first week of the Toronto Techstars Accelerator. In my case, that's the specific locale of the program, but generally this, I believe, can be, extended to many of the Techstars Accelerator around the world. There's a lot of them. I have the number somewhere here, but there's a lot. There's a lot of companies starting. Overall, I'll just give a quick brief on Techstars, and this won't be the full rundown. I'll cover that in a video, maybe even get Sunil, the managing director of Techstars Toronto, to jump on and record a video. I can ask him questions and he can give me probably better answers than I can give you, as obviously he has a lot of experience with the program. So Techstars Toronto specifically, 77 companies have done the program since it started in 2018. Companies from 4 continents and 11 countries. They have an investment thesis about Toronto being one of the most sort of like global cities. And because of that, they've invested in many places around the world. One of those focuses is actually Africa. And so there's several African companies in our cohort this year. I think we're 10 to 12 companies. And it's been super interesting to not only connect with them this week, but then also sort of understand how different the problem space in the country that they're in. So a lot of the, piece there is things maybe we take for granted, of like logistics of delivery, of transportation, of transferring money, things that we're really lucky to have here in Canada. And then you sort of do this comparison of the problems that, we're focused on here, specifically at Speak.ai, and that, some of the companies that we interact with on a more routine basis are dealing with versus companies in a country like Africa. So that's something super interesting. Overall, the point that I was trying to get to is that there's 50 accelerator programs across the world. We are just one of them, specifically this Techstars Toronto. They're sort of large over sort of seeing Techstars Universal, or whatever it actually is, Techstars Global. They then administer the program. My guess, this is not for sure, I'd love to hear if you've been through the program or if you're seeing anything different of my description here, is that there's consistencies in the structure of these programs, and the week that we're experiencing or have just experienced is probably in some ways similar to anyone who is in those cohorts and is kicking this off here. So overall, quickly, Techstars, 3,400 companies that they've invested in, said 140 billion plus combined market cap. They said that that's expanded since, and to me, they have a very good reputation in the industry. We were lucky enough to talk to quite a few people who have gone through the program. They spoke very highly of it. They seem supportive overall, and that's the experience that we've had to date. So I'll dive deeper into that in another video. Hopefully, maybe have some questions for me. Please feel encouraged to drop a comment, whatever. Would love to hear, so I can make sure that video is as valuable as possible. And I shared with you a couple sort of questions that I want to answer in other videos. But I'll talk about this week right now, which is the week is done. This was really a kickoff week, so it's definitely very heavy in terms of meetings. And some of those were, first of all, just get to know each other. So we did this sort of presentation. I should know how to say it. Pecha Kuchu. I'm sorry, that's butchered. Basically, take 20 images at most and introduce yourself personally. For myself, that's when I did, say eight pictures each, and then then tied our journey together. Shared, a little bit about Techstars, or sorry, not about Techstars, about Burning Man, about how we met, the journey, how we've been friends, and how we've lived together, all that stuff. And then it was super interesting to listen listen to the other companies sort of share their personal journeys, and then that helps you sort of build this sort of mental model around who these people are and the companies and why they started what they've done, and some super incredible smart people at different stages. Some people younger and early in the company, some people a little bit older with kids and entire families, and that's that diversity is something super interesting and something I'm glad to see. I think it's good to be around people with diverse experiences, opinions, thoughts, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, through the program, and this is, I'm extending this to Techstars Global, but this is the experience with Techstars Toronto. They're using Notion and Discord, so that manages a lot of the actual communication within the program documentation, and then communication between people, whether that's people dealing directly with the people who are part of the team at Techstars. In this case, it's 4 people, awesome people in the Techstars Toronto cohort, or the Techstars Toronto team, and then obviously ways to communicate with companies who are in the program. And generally, it seems like there is sort of this theme that there are sort of synergies within the companies or that are in the cohort. We haven't experienced that as much, but it seems like some of the African companies, there are connections, there's relationships built there, and even opportunities to work together. So I think that's super interesting. I believe we ended up as the only AI company in their program, and so that then tailors our experience to companies that we can work with, et cetera, et cetera. So a couple other things that I think have stuck out is, it definitely was meeting heavy. I did find that it was nice that most of those meetings were contained in the morning, so that you can go back in the afternoon, carve out that time to do the customer work that you're doing, the product development, all the other pieces of a business that are necessary. So I'm thankful for that. And some of the meetings, I think, out of no one's real fault. It's just there's especially that, whether we're reporting or just sharing, it's like those meetings can get pretty long. And I had moments where I felt a little burned out in that. And what I realized partway through, we're on a Zoom call, so we're managing Zoom for communications, and that's how we're connecting on live calls. It's like, I can hop onto my phone and as long as I'm listening to the information or, watching, I can go make lunch. I can walk around. And so, I don't know why that realization hadn't hit me earlier in the week, but, still participating in a great way, meeting people, understanding what other companies are operating in, and then understanding your sort of responsibilities throughout the program. That was, couldn't maybe classify it as a breakthrough, but a lesson for me. I was like, I've been sitting at this desk for too long. Even I've been standing at this desk for too long. So that's one thing I think to prepare for if you are going into Techstars or you're just interested. There is a lot of meetings. A lot of that in the first week is groundwork setting, how you communicate, the project management tools that you use, expectations, first building your KPIs. We had an amazing call with a wonderful person named Allie from Google, who had built a company around KPIs. And as someone said in the Discord channel, it's like, she looks like she runs, 5 miles every morning, maybe at lunch too, super fit, in terms of everything, mind, body, spirit, soul, the way that she spoke, the way that she articulated things. It's just precise in everything that she did. And that was like super cool and inspiring, I think. And then to see her experience with KPIs, see it with, how she, answered questions and then pushed us to answer questions. Those were all really helpful. So you're dealing with people who are operating at a super high level and being able to, absolutely, work through problems very quickly. Some people would say it feels almost aggressive, but when you're a founder and she asked, talked about how valuable your time is, that's a really good thing to have, because you can filter through the noise, you can filter through sort of the bull poop very quickly. And so that was super helpful. And just generally, you worry if you're going into a program like that. We've had past experiences with Accelerator programs, and it's like, you're drawn into meetings, you're drawn into presentations and programming. Not all of that could be valuable for you. Not all of that could be applicable. In this case, what I've seen, while there's moments of that, generally people are super bright, super, talented. They care about engaging you. They're taking time out of their day to do it. And that quality of sort of content and conversation is super high. And so a lot of the times where it would maybe be, big presentations in the past, in case the experience so far has been, relatively short presentations. And if they are, not short, they're super high impact. And obviously they brought these people in for a reason. And then generally they're opening up like Q&As pretty quickly, so that then you can ask the questions that you want to ask and then make it more relevant to the cohort. And again, sometimes that can fall off because this company is in this stage and then you're at this stage and it's different. So the questions are being asked are different, or the answers that are being given are different, but generally there's some sort of value that you can extract from it. So that's been super interesting. I'm glad the week is over in terms of meetings. I've been a person who generally limits meetings in my life, especially morning meetings. I like to carve out that time for personal routine, structure, and then some deep work. But when the value is there, it's worthwhile to do it. And I think especially with the virtual sort of delivery of it, it's relatively unimpactful or unintrusive on the life that you're having, besides maybe some of the length that the conversations can be to do. So now a couple other things that I wanted to touch on are as someone who knows Techstars, one of the biggest parts of this program is called Mentor Madness, and I think it's called Mentor Madness for a reason. I'm going to talk about this topic as a whole some point when I go through the program, and I'll report back on Mentor Madness each week, just as sort of like an update and everything that I'm thinking about. And it's basically you're getting matched with an incredible group of mentors who has a lot of experience. One of the examples that we had, they actually did a presentation, but as part of Mentor Madness, Bryce, and I'm not going to get his last name correct, so I'm not even going to try, but from Global Live and now Mindframe Connect. And these are super high level, valuable people understanding. You're then matched. You're doing 6 meetings a day, 25 minutes. And then they're sort of pairing you with these people with different expertise who are all, these people are not paid to mentor. They're, they like mentoring. They're getting really good information and insights. They're, sourcing deal flow, all these things that sort of, come with spending time with people who are sort of pre-vetted and going through these programs like they are at Techstars. You've got that 25 minutes to sort of maximize that, leverage their expertise. Throughout that, you're expected to, sort of connect with a couple mentors who you hope are going to be your sort of lead mentors throughout the program. And that focus on mentorship, I think, is super valuable. I've also seen that fall apart in other programs where, there's not maybe enough incentive for the mentors, which in this case, maybe it is likely because they're not being paid, but maybe the company quality is so high that it doesn't really matter and the value is there. And so the dedication will be there. But generally, mentors, highly successful, and with high success becomes high responsibilities in their own life and often lack of time or highly valuable time. And so meeting all these companies, meeting all these people, you can question, hey, maybe this 25-minute meeting is great, but is there follow-up here? Is there true value that's going to be, given outside of this meeting? And can I rely on them as, say, a lead mentor or someone who produces real value for the program? And in the past, before going through DMZ and Tech Alliance and some of these programs and having the experience with mentors and seeing that pattern that's possible, I think there's sort of some naive optimism around that. In truth, it's up to you to really make sure that happens, and then follow up, make sure you're producing value for the person who is the mentor. If they're not learning anything, if their value isn't created, there's not a two-way streak of value, then there is then, most likely going to be a lack of follow-up, some challenge in that relationship being strong and continuing. And so that's something that I'm preparing for. And also just, I think, preparing for that frantic energy which can come from Mentor Madness, which is, again, so 3 weeks, 6 hours, 6 hours a day, 6 meetings a day, 25. I was just doing some math. Six meetings a day, 25 minutes each. So 3 hours a day, 72 meetings overall. And throughout that time, you're going to be dealing with people who are in very, different expertise levels, what they want to do to support you. And your goal is to then research them a little bit ahead, do the proper follow-up, make sure that you maximize that time. And that time can be either very helpful or wasted completely, depending on how you look at it. And so there was also some sessions throughout the first week of the Toronto Techstars Accelerator here to then prepare for that and make sure you are doing it right. And they had a couple of companies who had done, apparently really good jobs in previous cohorts, share how they had maximized that time. So I'm super excited about it. Also super nervous. Again, I limit meetings in my life. I get overstimulated very quick. I know that some of these meetings are going to be, intense, aggressive, hard questioning, maybe questions that we don't have the answers to, and that's fine. I love that stuff, and I do like sort of the quick iteration that can happen when dealing with super smart people like that, super ambitious people like that, who are trying to help out. And in all cases, there is this idea, what I have felt it is sort of Techstars community, where they say Techstars for life, and the hashtag that they use is give first. So that seems to be true in my early stage of this program, both onboarding and now after completing the first week. And so, I'm super excited to see that come to fruition next week with the Mentor Madness. So a couple other notes, and then I'll wrap this up because I'm already at 15 minutes, and I hope you've gotten some insights along the way. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. I'm Tyler Bryden, and I'll be documenting this journey at Techstars. I do think it's super interesting. It's something I've, been super excited about, and then also super hesitant about and concerned. You're taking investment, you're diluting your company, you're starting this path of sort of investment, and you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success depending on the goals that you have in life. And so hopefully some of that is explored throughout this video, by the previous videos and subsequent content that I make around Techstars. So a couple other things is like a lot of the success seems to come from who the managing director is of Techstars. So in this case, we have the wonderful Sunil Sharma. I will pull up his screen quick. And so he is the co-host of Collision Conference and then the director at the Founder Institute as well. So 300 plus startup investments, past Canadian and US UN diplomat. Hey, I'm going to follow you, Jennifer. She just stepped down after investing for a long time. And, what I generally see is he's definitely a networker. He's definitely a connector. He seems super motivated and intelligent, and a lot of respect for him just because of how much work that he's put in over the years to build that network. And that's something that I see is, talk about this idea of network is your net worth. I did say that right. Good. That's true. And I think that's something that Techstars pushes. I think just in general, what I've seen, and I'll just share this on the screen, is Techstars Toronto. I think Techstars in general, compared to other maybe accelerators or incubator programs, really does try to build that relationship between companies. And it's, obvious that they are doing that. Sunil's here, Gabrielle here's Alicia. Shaibin is also on the team here. We've got some wonderful mentors who are there. And so I'm going to have all these links. As always, I've got, resources for you here. They'll be in the bottom of the YouTube description, or if you're on the website, they'll be on the website there too. Lots of great things, sort of, things about Accelerator Hub, some details, some stats, some frequently asked questions. And then I pulled up a couple of companies just so you can check them out. These are, previous companies who, or maybe not even previous, they're portfolio companies of Techstars who they sort of highlight some of them who have done quite well. One thing that I find super interesting is like, you can look back at the date, like SendGrid, I think as a big company, 2009 is when they started. So it took a long time for them to get where they are. And a lot of times I think we think of sort of venture companies, they go, quick pace, and then they burn out. And what you see here is the ones that are still around and being represented. Obviously a bunch have burned out around the way that they're still here, and it's been a long slog for them to make it. So I know I'm just flipping through things here. Now I'll get off of that and I'll hop back into my Google Doc just to refocus here. The last thing I'll say sort of on the first week of the Toronto Techstars Accelerator ends up in the week with actually two things. One thing is super interesting with this Mentor Madness. There is a lookbook that they share that gives you all the sort of links, LinkedIn, email, categories of the mentors that you are going to meet in the week. So that's a super helpful resource and allows you to do that research up front and then connect with people after, and then focus on people who maybe are, more inclined or suited to provide value for your company. The last part I'll touch on is the end of the week concludes with an open sharing of KPIs and progress. That was sort of highlighted in the first week or the first part of the week. And as you prepare for the program to settle on these KPIs, and then you have an open sharing session on the Friday for you who are watching the video. That was today, so I'm coming off of that, and I think that was super helpful, amazing to see where people are, the different paths in the journey. Some of them, because they're doing, say, money transfer, the amount of volume that they're transferring through their systems is pretty wild to see. So definitely some lessons there, and I think it really does by doing that. You're keeping each other in check. You're wanting to make sure that you're hitting these metrics and doing a good job. You're setting ambitious goals. You're seeing where you're failing and where you're where you're succeeding, and you're sort of highlighting those KPIs. And red did not happen, yellow somewhat happened, or you sort of right there, or green you sort of exceeded. And so it was very obvious, and you're sharing that very openly on that. Hey, here's what worked, here's what didn't. They'll ask you, why did this work? Or they'll ask you, well, why didn't this work? Or for us, that one of the pushes was, hey, it seems like you're doing a really good job on inbound, sort of this idea of product-led growth, but can you include some metrics around outbound sales, demos booked, things like that? And now that's a recommendation. It's up to you as a founder or business owner to then say, hey, yes, I will do that or not. For us, product-led growth has been a great path. Inbound has been great through the content that we've produced, as well as, we just do a lot of sort of solution selling and working with customers we've had now for several years to continue to build up the product and make sure that we're producing value. But overall, I thought that part was super valuable, a great way to end the week, and a very inspiring way to end the week and keep you accountable. And, just for your reference, like you might ask me, what are these KPIs? For us, software revenue, that can be MRR, sort of subscriptions kind of based, and then also sort of the additional transcription analysis and then implementations and onboarding. So we're grouping that all. We want to see that number is staying stable at the very least, and ideally it's growing. And then we're also looking at user signups. Obviously that's a top line metric for us, but it's a leading indicator that we're doing something right on the front end from marketing and content. And then lastly is like the free to paid conversion rate. So out of how many people signed up, how many people those converted into paid users. So that's obviously a super important thing to us to know. If we know, hey, here's how many people signed up, here's how many people converted, and here's the software revenue, we start to paint this really good picture of, are we making progress or are we not? And we've set some pretty ambitious goals with that, 250 signups per week. So 1,000 signups per month, 5% conversion rate. And then, aiming for, to begin with, like straight up 10K, monthly. And, we're there in many ways already. So we should maybe even be setting that more ambitious, knowing that we're going to scale that up as we continue to grow. And then hopefully getting to, that golden sort of 83K monthly, which is then $1 million in software revenue. That's the dream that you want to see come true. And this program, I think, through the accountability, through the open sharing, can help you do that, as well as sort of the questions to ask for clarity and figure out, why is this working? Why is this not working? So super excited about that. Overall, it's been a great week. I'm excited to have gone through it. Also excited that it's over. Time moves very quickly, especially when you're packed in meetings like this. You're flowing through, you're getting asked hard questions, you're producing all this stuff for Techstars specifically, but then also dealing with your day-to-day businesses and customers, and then also your personal life and the people that you love and all of that. And there was sort of this notice before the program started of, hey, you are going to have to tell your family and friends that you might not see you as much during this program. I can see that being true, but I also think that those are important parts of your life to then make sure that you balance with the program, even if it's as intense as it is, as it's supposed to be, because you don't want to burn out, and you want to make sure that you're not sacrificing those relationships and also your own happiness and, restfulness throughout this program, because it is both, a marathon and a sprint. You're basically sprinting a marathon, but as we all know, there are trade-offs when you do that. At some point, you're going to fall down, you're going to break down if you continue that sprint. And so you need to choose these places to execute and push, and then you need to have those times of rest and connection and refueling. So I think that's pretty good. I think that's a lot to cover on the first week of the Toronto Accelerators. If you have any other questions or anything, again, feel encouraged to send me a note. Hope this is something valuable for you as someone who is interested in this stuff. And I'm guessing if you made it this far in the video, you are interested. I'll continue to document this and look forward to sharing more on this and hearing from you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day yourself. It's a pleasure as always to be able to share. And I'm so grateful for anyone who leaves a comment, whatever it is, even something as small as that, a like on the video. That makes my day. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.